Field of 68 after dark. Welcome to beautiful Lynchburg, Virginia here, where we just watched Lynchburg knock off Charleston 90-75 here in the first day of the Field of 68 tip-off here. Yeah, Liberty in Lynchburg. Whatever. Now you guys threw me off. Good thing this show is live, Goodman. You got to love how we're going here.
Good thing we chose you to host.
Yeah, good thing. This is what happens when I spend a whole day with Goodman is we start saying things wrong. Anyway, we just watched Liberty knock off Charleston 90-75 in a thrilling game here in Lynchburg. That's not the headline of the night, though. The headline of the night, Goodman, is that North Carolina put belt to behind on Kansas today in a game where we had two top 25 teams playing. Caleb Wilson showed out, and it was the kind of performance that maybe had us saying that we need to have a reimagining of what the best freshman in the country is. 87-74 Tar Heels. What did you make of North Carolina's win?
Didn't Caleb respond to us when we did our rankings of top freshmen? When I did the ACC rankings, and I think I ranked him 5th or 6th?
Yes, he did.
Caleb, I'm sorry. I screwed up. You are elite, my man. And sometimes we forget, right? Like it's been a year and a half since we saw some of these kids play on the AU circuit. And we forget how great he was, how long, how athletic. You and I are watching this game, and the biggest thing that I think blew us away about Caleb Wilson was how damn hard this kid plays. Right, and it's contagious with the rest of the team. They've got good pieces. Henry Visar was terrific, and it's an awesome addition. You know, our big question was perimeter play with Carolina, and we can get to that in a little bit. But I think the one thing we know they have is one of the best front courts in America.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's what, more than anything, I think that I've learned about Caleb Wilson. And maybe I just saw the wrong games when he was at PGM, and maybe I just watched the wrong film, but I did not realize that was how
hard he played.
How hard he plays. There was a play in the first half. You know, we can talk about some of the pull-ups and some of the turnarounds, and some of the shots that we made. We knew that he was a guy with that height that had the ability to make some of those tough shots. In the first half, there was a play where a ball got knocked loose, going for an offensive rebound. He chased it down. He tipped it up in the air. He kept it alive. Then he immediately turned around, dove on the floor into two Kansas players, and ripped the ball away and won possession for North Carolina. A freshman who's a potential top 5 pick making that kind of a play is not something that I thought I was going to see out of Caleb Wilson. And that wasn't just a one-off. Like, that was the entire game. He was everywhere.
Well, he's so athletic and so long and covers so much damn ground. But I think what we forgot about was not just the work ethic and how hard he plays and the motor, but also the skill. The skill's better than we gave him credit for, right? He can guard. We knew he could guard. Like, that was the easy thing. But some of the passes that he had tonight, like, really impressive. So I think, again, he's a guy that tonight, for a night, and I think it's going to continue, put himself in the discussion for the most impactful, the most productive freshman. We've been talking about Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonson, Cam Boozer, all preseason. This is a kid who now, a few nights after Koa Pete put up 30 for Arizona, has put himself in the equation as well. And, man, this freshman class gets better and better and better every night.
Yeah, and it's really fun to watch this North Carolina team, the way that they play, right? I think what North Carolina was missing last year, they didn't have that 5-man that could be that rim protector that you could kind of throw the ball to, right? And they didn't have big wings. We were talking about it before. Tonight, Seth Trimble was the smallest guy in North Carolina's starting lineup, right? And last year, there were times where they would slot him in at the 4. Yeah. It would be like R.J. Davies, Elliot Cadeau, Ian Jackson, and then Seth Trimble
wasn't
playing
good enough. We knew that. That was the big problem.
But it's the size. It's the size that North Carolina has this year.
You said this. I think you said this either before the season or maybe it was at ACC Media Day. Somebody else said it, that like everybody was trying to kind of copycat Duke in their positional length. Mm-hmm. And who better? I mean, Like if you're going to do it, Carolina down the road when you're playing with those small guards last year, I mean, it killed them last year.
Yeah, and it's very different looking at them this year, right? You started Jaron Stevenson and Caleb Wilson together. Luka Bogovic comes off the bench, and he's another guy who's like 6'6", 6'7". Zayden High, Jonathan, like there's size, and it's not just big guys, it's positional size in the backcourt, right? You go from having Elliot Cadeau and RJ Davis to having Seth Trimble and Guy Evans is, I mean, we're not going to sit here and pretend like he's 6'8" or anything like that, but he's bigger and more physical than you had last season. And I'm really, really impressed with what North Carolina can be this year. Now, you got to kind of keep this thing going, and we can talk about Kansas here in a little bit, because I think that as much as this said about North Carolina and Caleb Wilson, I think it also says a lot about what this Kansas team is. But it's a statement win. It's a win to get a little bit of that pressure off of Hubert Davis. It's a win to get the fan base behind you. And you know this better than anybody, Goodman. When you can get a couple of those wins early and you set the narrative of,
sure,
all right, we're good, we're going to be able to get on a roll, it really changes what the year could be. I think Mark Pope is a perfect example of this last year with Kentucky, where he won a couple of games early that maybe I don't want to say they lucked into, but maybe they didn't play their best and they found a way to win. And it got them going a little bit, where a season in the SEC, although injury-laden, when you weren't really competing for the SEC regular season championship at the same level some of those other teams was, you still had the full backing of Big Blue Nation. And if you can get the full backing of North Carolina behind you and all of those fans and that entire fan base, it changes the way that team is going to feel, and it's going to turn the Dean Dome into a place that is an absolute fortress. People are going to be fired up to be going there again. It's going to be loud. It's going to be intense. It's going to be like that every night.
The ACC.
Yes.
The ACC really, really could use this, because we know Louisville is going to be good. We're pretty sure NC State's going to be good, much better than they've been. But if Carolina can establish himself, and they've got, you look at the schedule coming up, they got 3 bye games, right? Mm-hmm. Radford, NC Central, Navy, all at home. Then St. Bonaventure down in Fort Myers, and Michigan State down there. Like all games, winnable games they probably should, Michigan State one we'll see. And then they get to, Kentucky in Lexington in the SEC Challenge in early December. But I think, again, I think the other difference, and I know we want to give Carolina their flowers, and they deserve them, but the other difference when you're watching these two teams right now is the amount of talent around Caleb Wilson compared to the amount of talent around Darren Peterson. And Darren Peterson was efficient tonight. He was really good, but he just doesn't have enough help around him. Trey White, well-traveled, decent player, but they're counting on Trey White to be a dude. And he's never been that. And Melvin Council can't really shoot. And Cole Rosario, Bill Self's counting on him to be a dude. And he's a late reclassifier who, again, is big, strong, and can shoot it, but it may take time for him. I said this at the beginning of the year, before the season. I just think there's going to be too much put on my guy D. Pete's shoulders.
And it's different than what you saw with some of these other freshmen last year. Even Cooper Flagg, right? You had the talent around him and the spacing around him where you could kind of put the pressure on him, but he didn't have to do it all. And when you watch what Kansas is doing there's no space for him to operate. You can send 2 people at him every single possession. Flory Badunga kind of telegraphs what he's going to be offensively. I think Melvin Council is a good point guard, but he can't really shoot. You still have some of those same issues when it comes to the floor spacing. And I don't think that you want to be able to rely on Darren Peterson to have to do everything all by himself. That is a big ask for a freshman, albeit a talented one, but that is still a very big ask for a freshman in that role and kind of what you want him to be this year. So I said this before. I think that as much as this says about North Carolina, it's also a big warning to Kansas. Because, look, they got absolutely run out of the gym in the second half. They gave up 58 points in the second half, and that's a Bill Self defense. North Carolina got wherever they wanted. They got open threes over and over again. They ran, and to Hubert's credit, they ran some really good stuff. They ran some really impressive sets in the half court. There was one, I showed you the play. There was one sideline out of bounds where they were able to get Kyan Evans wide open, and instead of shooting, he threw the lob to Henry Visar at the rim, and just getting him that look where he was open and Visar rolling was a really, really nice set. Caleb Wilson had a tremendous pass where they kind of had a side ball screen and they swung it up to him at the top, and he just a touch pass, might even been no look, just threw it to the rim, and Visar threw down a reverse dunk. So not only do you have the rim protection from Visar, but you have that he puts pressure on the rim because of what he is on the offensive end of the floor. And I could sit here and rave on and on about North Carolina. I do want to make sure we spend some time talking about Kansas kind of in depth. Is there a fix, right? Is there a way that you can say,
I mean, this guy's got to be Superman. Darren Peterson's going to have to be Superman this year. He's going to have to be not just the number one pick, but the best college basketball player in the country. And those are two different things. You know, you can be the number one pick and be a fringe first-team All-American and be a great, really good college player. He's got to be kind of what Bill Self said. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got to be a guy that impacts in every single way, can't take a night off. By the way, if Darren Peterson takes a night off, Kansas can lose to just about anybody other than, you know, the bye games. So I said it when he put together this team. This just does not look like a team. And maybe he spent too much money on Darren Peterson.
All right, so let me ask you this.
Out of their NIL budget.
After Florida lost to Arizona, we had this conversation on After Dark where we kind of said you can't panic with Florida. Like, there are some things that they need to work on, but you can see the pathway to them finding a way to be able to be what we thought they were in the preseason, right? I really hesitate to overreact to a team with a freshman as your go-to guy playing their first real competition together and doing it on the road in the Dean Dome in front of 17,000 people, right? Saying that, their season's over, blow it all up.
Of course their season's not over.
What's the pathway to them?
I just said it. It's Darren Peterson being Superman.
That's it.
I mean, he has to be. He has to be. What other, like, Trey White isn't all of a sudden going to turn into a 20-10 guy, right? Cole Rosario, maybe he turns into a really good freshman. Yeah, that could help you. Flory's not all of a sudden going to turn into this skilled big man who can step out and make 18-footers, right? That's not him. Now, he's a killer. He's tough. I liked what I saw out of Bryson Tiller offensively tonight. I like that.
We knew he could space the floor.
Right.
He could shoot. But
I mean, again, are they?
He also fouled out in like 13 minutes.
Well, because he hasn't played in 2 years. Yeah. He hasn't played in 2 years. So, again, defensively, it's going to take some time for Tiller. But I thought what he gave you offensively tonight in his second game, pretty impressive after missing as much time as he had. Again, can Kansas be I'm never going to count out the combination of Bill Self and Darren Peterson. I'm not stupid. I'm not counting him out. All I'm saying is, like, right now, I don't think that the supporting cast is good enough. I don't feel good about, like, them being able to win a national title with this supporting cast. Am I crazy?
No, but I would just like to point out that you said at the same time, I'm not stupid, and you also said I rank Caleb Wilson as the 5th best freshman in the ACC.
That was
so
stupid.
It's a lot of things.
That was stupid.
But I don't think that was necessarily. I probably would have had him a spot or two higher.
Brown.
Yeah,
he should have been third.
I probably would have had him third,
right,
but I don't think it's crazy to think that he was a step below those other two freshmen because, like I said, we're going to keep – I don't want to keep going back to this. Hopefully we're going to hear from Caleb Wilson here in just a couple of minutes. But I do believe that he showed
more
something –
than a couple of minutes, right?
I do believe that he showed something here today that was really impressive to me. Final thoughts. Let's kind of wrap it up on this game. North Carolina came into this game as the number 25 team in the AP poll. They came into this game where a lot of people had questions about whether or not they really were good enough to be able to save Hubert's job, more or less, right? That's been the storyline this entire offseason. Did what you see today fully change your mind?
No, just like it didn't fully change my mind that, like, Kansas isn't good. It didn't fully change my mind, but it gave me, if I'm a Carolina fan, If I'm, John Henson or Tyler Hansbrough, I'm feeling pretty good about this team right now because, again, they showed.
I can tell you right now that John Henson is feeling pretty good about a whole lot of things.
Yeah, he probably won a few bucks on his
free money.
But yeah, I think what you want to see out of this team that maybe we haven't seen in the last year or so is some fire with this program. With again. RJ was terrific. He didn't show a lot of, that wasn't him. He wasn't showing a lot of emotion, a lot of passion. They weren't an exciting team to watch. Caleb Wilson gives him that guy that you honestly, you want to turn on and you're like, I can't wait to see what this dude does next. And I think Henry next to him, it's a perfect compliment. And they got Jaron Stevenson, who they don't have to rely on, but he's great coming off the bench. And their guards are good enough. I don't think they're going to set the world on fire, but Seth Trimble's a really good leader who's developed into a good leader.
Well, you got an on-ball defender that is a real culture guy that cares more about wins than he does about any of the numbers that he is going to get, despite the fact that he probably could average 15 a game in the ACC if he wanted to. You have a point guard in Kyan Evans who is a very, very good shooter, an unselfish passer that showed some flashes in ball screens. You have guys that want to be able to be a part of a system and have embraced being role players off the bench. Zayden High, I'm thinking of. Jonathan Powell, I'm thinking of. Derek Dixon, who I think is going to end up being a very, very good player for North Carolina. And you have size, length, and athleticism that you need in the ACC this year. And we saw that coming. My biggest thing is, and I will admit that I am changing my tune on what North Carolina. I thought they had a chance. I think they have. It's more than a chance. I think that we're talking about them in the same tier as Duke and Louisville because of what we saw from Caleb Wilson, because of the fire, what he provides defensively, the intensity. He doesn't play like a freshman, and I think that is the single biggest thing.
Caleb Wilson does not play like a freshman, and when we come back, we're going to have on North Carolina's star freshman.
We all know the Players Era Festival has become the best field in all of college basketball. And you have the opportunity to win a VIP trip to the Players Era Festival in Las Vegas, thanks to our partners over at BetMGM. Here's how it works. Opt into the contest and start placing bets on any sport of at least $10 with plus 100 odds or greater. When you do that, you earn leaderboard points based on the bet's odds and the amount that you wager. The more you bet, the higher the odds, the more points that you earn. The top players in that contest are going to win a prize package that includes tickets to the games, withdrawable funds for travel, a 4-night stay at the luxurious Mandalay Bay here in Las Vegas, and more. For the full list of prizes, look in the description below. Make the tournament legendary with BetMGM. Vegas is calling. You gonna answer?
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Dauster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 On3. Get the scoop. Welcome back to Lynchburg, Virginia, here on the Field of 68 After Dark. Rob Dauster, Jeff Goodman. We're going to be joined here in just a minute by UNC star freshman Caleb Wilson, 24 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals. That is one heck of a box score there, Jeff.
Yeah. And again, one that I'm not sure people expected in this matchup. Right, I think when we were going into this matchup, most people were like, all right, Darren Peterson's going to be the headliner here. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is going in, right? Potential number 1 pick, coming into Chapel Hill, first time these teams have ever played in Chapel Hill. And, Caleb Wilson, man, he delivered. He delivered in the biggest way possible.
Yeah, really impressive performance from him. The combination of him and Henry Visar in the front court for North Carolina is going to be a problem that a lot of teams have to deal with this season because of their versatility, because both of them can knock down the three, because both of them are capable of passing the ball and finishing above the rim. I was impressed with Caleb's passing tonight. This North Carolina, they won 87 to 74 over Kansas at home. As we're looking at it right now, you had Duke and Louisville. We're joined now by Caleb Wilson, North Carolina's star freshman. And Caleb, Rob Dauster here. It's great to see you, man. I want to start you off with this. I know you saw my partner here, Jeff Goodman's ACC freshman rankings in the preseason. So I'm going to give you the floor. Just you can let him know. You can say whatever you got to say. You can
call me whatever you want, Caleb. I deserve it.
Jeff, I wish I had my phone because it's been my wallpaper ever since it came out. So I told everybody what it was, and I love proving people wrong. So I appreciate it. It's been motivating me for sure.
Well, listen, I'm glad I could motivate you. I don't think you need any motivation from me, my man, because you were fun to watch tonight. And again, I said it earlier, we saw you in AAU ball. It feels like a long time ago, right? 18 months ago, we haven't seen you. We were talking about AJ. We're talking about Darren Peterson, who you played against tonight. We're talking about Cam Boozer a lot. To me, what did motivate you the most? And again, tonight's game, not just about you, but about your team and coming out and making a big statement here early in the season with this win.
Me, I was motivated by, playing on ESPN. It's always been a dream of mine. And honestly, as a team, we haven't beat Kansas in 0 days, not 23 days. 23 years before. So I was just approaching this is personal. I feel like I had to show what we can do. And I feel like our team kind of picked it up in the second half. And it was just a great win for sure.
Caleb, I think the most fun part about watching that performance for me was the unselfishness that you played with, right? I don't know how many five-star freshmen of kind of your pedigree you see diving on the floor for loose balls in the first half, that you see throwing some of the passes that you made. The one that stands out to me is the lob that you threw to Henry for the reverse dunk. The way that you've kind of bought into being a part of the team and being a part of the system has been really impressive and fun to watch.
For sure. I appreciate it. I've always came into this mindset of college of just taking it one day at a time. So that's all I can say about that. But it's on to the next for sure. Radford on Tuesday. Hopefully I can make it up your list.
Listen, you're moving up. You're moving up quickly. Trust me.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
How do you make sure there's not a let up? Because you have 3 bye games coming up. Radford being the first of the 3. Because again, we've seen this before. You're young, but we've seen it before with teams where, they'll have a game like this early and then they might have a let up game, especially young teams. And, you guys aren't necessarily young. You are, but it's a team also full of kind of faces, people, thrown together. It's a different world in college basketball now than it used to be.
Me personally, I'm always gonna bring the energy every game, and I just have to be a leader because this is my first year of college, and I want to have fun. I want to win the national championship, and that starts with every game. And I just know if the game is going bad, even though we had a rough first half of the day, I'm always gonna be that person diving on the floor, making sure I have energy so we can get the win.
What did you say? What was said at halftime, Caleb? I don't know who spoke up. Was it just Coach Davis? What was said at halftime? Because you guys came out of the gate second half and obviously took it to them.
We all spoke up, actually. We just talked about how we had 10 turnovers and we were only down 8, and they had 17 points off turnovers. So we just knew we had to clean it up as a team for sure.
When you guys, there was a run where I think you hit 4 threes in about 6 possessions there in the second half to take the 10-point lead. It was rocking in the Dean Dome. I'm sure that's as loud as you've heard it since you've been there. What was it like playing in front of that environment, in front of that crowd?
It was ridiculous, honestly. I really couldn't believe it myself. And I tried not to get caught up in the crowd, but it was a moment during the game where I was like, man, this is ridiculous. I can't believe where I'm at, for sure.
What haven't you shown yet, Caleb? What haven't you shown that you want to show people that you can do?
I haven't shown people I'm the number one pick yet, so that's all I want to say. That's all I'm worried about.
Hey, man, I like it, man. I like the confidence, and I like the fact that, again, that we didn't put you in that conversation, and there is motivation, but, biggest thing, man, you keep winning in doing this, that's a difference maker. You lose and do this, it's a different deal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the goal is always winning. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to try to go out there and be selfish. Like you said, I'm not going to go out there and try to shoot every ball or be selfish. I'm going to do what it takes to win. If that's me being aggressive, if that's me distributing and creating, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, listen, Caleb, we appreciate you joining us. We appreciate your candor and letting Jeff Goodman know. But I do just have to say, I am now going to have to hear all season long about how Jeff Goodman inspired Caleb Wilson to have this unbelievable performance. Yeah. Congratulations, man. Enjoy it. It's a long road. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about you quite a bit this season.
I appreciate that. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. That was awesome. Great kid. Yeah. Great performance.
Makes you feel on how he handled it. Yes. Right? Like that's the best part. Like, I love kids like that kind of have fun with it, right? Aren't at a point where they're like so pissed off because, some can be. Mm-hmm. But he had fun, poked fun at it. Boy, did he deliver tonight, though.
And I love nothing more than people proving you wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case.
All right, we got to move on. There was a lot of college basketball that happened tonight. And perhaps as much as this win by North Carolina was a headline, perhaps the standout final score and the standout game that we saw was Georgetown going into whatever the Maryland arena,
the
Xfinity Center, going in there and kind of laying belt to behind.
You like that belt to behind?
I wanted to say belt to ass, but
I don't understand why you keep using that line.
They were up they scored the first 11 points of the game.
They were up by 10. That's not belt to behind.
They scored the first 11 points. They were up by 20.
Dagan, officially,
in the middle of the second half.
It's a 10-point win, belt to behind.
Yes,
Dagan says
it was. There was at no point in that game did it look like Maryland had a chance to be able to win it. At no point in that game did it look like they were after the first 2 minutes.
I'm going to text Ed Cooley right now and say, was that belt to behind?
And yes, he will say that.
He will say absolutely not.
Yeah, he absolutely said that.
But it was a little bit of a shocking result. Even though Georgetown had that big win in the exhibition season, it's exhibition season over Kentucky, right? You're like, I don't know. Kentucky was shorthanded a little bit. How much credence did you give it? This is year 3 for Ed Cooley at Georgetown. Hasn't really done over the first 2 years what a lot of people, myself included, thought he might be able to do in terms of flipping it. He had 2 first-round picks last year. They didn't get in the NCAA tournament. They don't have any first-round picks on their roster this year. I feel pretty confident saying that. But talking to Cooley recently, what he said is, this is an old-school Big East team. That's what I have here. Yes, we're going to have some trouble scoring points. But, man, we got dudes that play hard, that are tough, that can really, really guard. And, that's what they did today. They held Maryland to 60 points. Right, and Malik Mack was good. KJ Lewis, the transfer from Arizona, was good. This is how they have to win games. They have to win games probably scoring, 70, 65, maybe 62 points.
Well, this is a team that is built in the mold of a Ed Cooley basketball program, right? When you think of Ed Cooley's best teams, they got a big physical 5-man. They got junkyard dogs at the forward spots, and they got guards that can go out and get a bucket. I'm thinking like teams that had Bryce Cotton, LaDontae Henton, and a bunch of goons out there that are out there to just be physical and go win the fight almost as much as winning the basketball game. And I think they got some guys like that this year. And Malik Mack and Jaden Epps, who can both of those guys can go and win a possession on their own. They combined for 25 points tonight. And then I'm sorry, Malik Mack and KJ Lewis combined for 35 points. Yeah, 35 points tonight. It's been a long couple of days.
It's been a long it's been a long about 40 days.
Yeah, been a long 40 days. But KJ Lewis and Malik Mack combined for about 35 points tonight. And then you have the big fellas. Then you have Isaiah Abraham. Then you have Caleb Williams, who had a double-double tonight. It feels like this is a team that is built in the mold of what Ed Cooley wants his basketball teams to be.
Well, yes. Of course, that's what he wants to start with, right? He wants to start with that toughness. that kind of Big East toughness. But I do think he'd love to have one more scorer, Rob. I think he's probably a scorer short of being a team that, we were talking about could finish third in the Big East. Now, after this, again, you got to put a little bit in perspective here. This is Buzz Williams' first true game at Maryland.
And they're banged up, man. They're not healthy.
They're banged up, and I'm not sure how good they're going to be. But regardless, if they can be a tournament team, this is a win. Remember how bad Georgetown's non-conference was last year? They won every game, and they played nobody. Now, could this turn into a resume game at the end of the year? It's not right now. Maryland's going to struggle. But could they be a tournament team at the end of the year where maybe you're talking about...
They don't need to be a tournament team. Just be a top 75 team. And if you're in the Big Ten,
team would be huge for Georgia.
But if you're in the Big Ten and you're not terrible, a top 75 team is a quad one win, and we all know how that stuff looks at the end of the year. If they're 65th in the net, that ends up being a quad one win, and that's looked at on paper as it matters.
That's the thing. A road win,
yes,
of this caliber is going to be significant for Georgetown. The question is, can they keep this thing going? Right? Can they be a team that, instead of us talking about finishing, 5th, 6th, 7th in the Big East, could they fight for third? Because right now,
yes,
third place is wide open. Am I wrong? It's
No.
UConn and St. John's, and then we have no idea. Creighton, maybe. Providence, maybe.
I think it's looking at the Big East right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, UConn and St. John's are at the top. And
Clearly.
for me, it's Providence, Georgetown, and Creighton are all good enough to be like in the NCAA tournament conversation. And I would not be surprised if all three of them found a way to be able to get to the dance. Now, the hard part for the Big East, just kind of big picture, is when you get to the bottom of the league, like there are going to be some warts this year. There are going to be some scores that look weird. Shout out to Seton Hall. Shout out to Xavier, who won their first two games.
Yeah, I mean, Xavier's the one
not exactly win games.
Xavier's the one that you worry about.
DePaul is in the dogfight with Stonehill right now. So that's the part of it is that
Seton Hall beat Wagner.
They won by 7. Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is that
belt to behind.
You don't want to be in a situation, if you're Georgetown, where you're relying on the wins that you have to get in conference play to be able to put together the resume that is good enough to be able to dance.
Do you know who put belt to behind tonight?
UConn.
Your UConn Huskies. Man, did they. Poor Pat Duquette. He's going to go home to his poor dog. Hopefully, is still going to love him after tonight's performance.
They were down 44-3 at one point. And
it was 44-3?
It was 44-3 at one point.
Come on.
And that's
boy.
That's
Could
tough.
they call again? Like, I feel like that's a score they should call it. You know how, like,
mercy rules?
Yes.
Mercy rules.
Yes. I think they should bring out mercy rules. Yes.
Honestly, you know what I think? I think that we're going to see a lot more games that are lopsided like that.
Because of the net?
No, because of the difference in
money.
And look, it's not just you're not just seeing.
I think the net is part of it too, Rob. I think the net encourages.
Listen, it's not
somebody like Dan Hurley, and he's not the only one who's going to run it up. But anybody's going to run it up with the net.
Well, what's happened is we've rewarded these blowouts with the way that it is scored, and the fact that the teams at UMass Lowell's level. Not only are they losing their best players to high majors, but they're losing their best players to like other mids, to mids with money. So the talent gap between the teams at the bottom and the teams at the top is going to be drastic. And we're going to see scores like this. And we're going to see scores like what Louisville did to
scores
South
like
Carolina
that,
State.
Rob. I mean, like UMass Lowell was fighting for the America East title a couple of years ago. Like, that score is ridiculous. That score is one where you call it. You throw in the towel and you say no mas.
Can you imagine what would happen if Pat Duquette actually did that? He just came out and he just didn't come out.
Threw in the towel. No, just literally threw in the towel. Do you remember who threw in the towel years ago? It was before your time and said no mas.
No.
It's a boxer named Roberto Duran against Sugar Ray Leonard. He was so frustrated. He was an elite boxer, and he was so frustrated by Sugar Ray Leonard. His corner just said no mas. They threw in the towel.
You're really dating yourself right now. Let's put a bow on the Georgetown, Maryland conversation.
It's going to be interesting. And really what's going to be fun is Georgetown and Providence, because they're both kind of in that same mix right now, I think, in that next tier in the Big East.
We talk about how UConn and St. John's, the rivalry is going to be awesome because there's a reason for dislike between the fan bases and between the coaching staffs. And they also are both very, very good, like national championship caliber teams this season. So there's actual stakes on the line. It's not just a rivalry. Georgetown Providence the last couple of years, there's a reason why Providence fans don't like Georgetown and don't like Ed Cooley.
There's stakes there too. I think there's big stakes because they both go into year 3 and they need to show their fan base that they can take their team to the NCAA tournament, or else they're not going to be long.
But it's not just that. So both teams are good.
Yep.
I believe that there's going to be NCAA tournament implications on the line, or at the very least seeding implications on the line when those two teams play. And like you said, like I don't think Kim English is in danger of losing his job.
I mean, it'd have to be bad.
But they spent money on this roster. And if you don't win with the roster where you spent money,
they both did.
Sometimes people are going to stop spending money. Same thing with Ed Cooley. They spent a whole bunch of money on the last 2 rosters. This year, I don't know if he had as much as he had the first couple of years in comparison to other programs, but now he's got a team that can win. So, like, you got to start doing it at some point. In the era of in the portal era, if you're a coach at a program that wants to be a successful basketball program, you got 3 years. You don't get 4 or 5, 6 years to build it. You got 3.
Here's what I'll say is if you get that 4th, if you could somehow get the 4th is going to be huge for any Big East school next year, because with rev share coming in, you're going to have a major advantage. So can you get to that 4th? Can you get to it is all I'm saying.
I think they both will, and I think they're both going to have good enough years where they sign extensions this season. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say rev share is not going to matter. At what point in college sports history has anybody ever cared about following the rules when it comes to paying players?
Wow.
All of the bags are going to be dropped.
Everybody's cheating.
Everybody's
going to cheat. You're calling everybody a cheater with rev share of $3.5 million or less. That's what you do right now. Go look at the camera and just call everybody a cheater.
I don't think that there is a single coach in college basketball that is going to care about following the rules when it comes to rev share and NIL when we are at a point where all you have to do is file a lawsuit, get an injunction, and then drop the lawsuit, and nothing matters. It doesn't matter. There's no rules in college sports anymore. Just file a lawsuit, get an injunction, and worry about it later after you drop the lawsuit. That's why Diego Pavia is going to play for 37 years. He's going to be the oldest. He's going to be a 42-year-old quarterback. When we get back, we're going to talk about the game that we saw here. Liberty, Charleston, and a couple of little guards that you need to pay attention to. If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Dauster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 On3. Get the scoop.
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
Welcome back to the Friday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. Rob Dauster, Jeff Goodman. We're live in Lynchburg, Virginia, Jeff, because we have the Field of 68 tip-off going on right now. Tomorrow night, Charleston plays FAU right here in this building. Sunday night, FAU plays Liberty right here in this building, which was packed tonight with about 3,400 Flames fans that watch their Liberty Flames put up 90.
They watch a couple of flamethrowers.
Cade Matheny, Colin Porter, Brent Decker, Zach Cleveland almost had a triple-double, 14 for 29 from three for Liberty. How impressive was this performance? And are you all in on our number one team?
It's a great question.
The non-Power 5 rankings of 25 teams in order of their goodness.
It's the number one team in the mid-major top 25. And I was questioning whether Sean Paul and Rocco Miller made the right decision here. Because I just saw High Point absolutely annihilate Furman by 30 the other day in Rock Hill. So I'm thinking to myself, man, I think these dudes made the wrong decision. And then I watched Liberty tonight. I'm like, I want to see them play each other. Because this Liberty team, man, like...
Sounds like a matchup for next year's Field of 68 opening day marathon.
Like next week. I want to see if we can find a way to get this game next week. Richie would probably do it. Think about it. If it were legal, if he didn't play too many games already in the schedule, he'd probably do it. But these guards, man, and we'll talk about Zach Cleveland and what he means to this team too. But, you know, when you sit down and we've been around these guys for the last couple of years through this event, but you watch Colin Porter and Cade Matheny. How can you not love them on and off the court? How can you not absolutely fall in love? Because, again, Colin Porter's 5'8". He's 5'8". And this dude might have been, I mean, at times he looks unstoppable. He's as good as any player on the court tonight. Zach Cleveland might have been the best. I don't know. Who was the best player on the court tonight? I don't know if there was one.
I think it was Zach Cleveland, just because of what he did.
12, 10, and 8. What
he did defensively. The way that they just used him as the hub of the offense is really, really impressive. Like, it is all just DHOs and ball screens, and let's find a way to be able to get Zach in space and run off of him because he's going to make the right decision, the right pass. I said this on the broadcast today. I think he is the single most unique player in college basketball because of his size and his athleticism and his passing ability, and also the fact that, like, you don't have to guard him more than 2 feet away from the basket. It's unbelievable. Like, they don't even guard him.
Still finds a way.
They don't guard him at the logo.
I know. That was the plan. That was the game plan today.
And they've done it. They've done it so much. They've dealt with it so much that, like, they know how to deal with it. Same thing with the little guards, man. Like, those guys, how can you play at this level when you're 5'8"? Well, they've been short their entire lives. They've had to be able to figure out a way to do it their entire lives.
But give Richie McKay so much credit for trusting them, right? Number one, and number two, putting together a group. And I think part of it is the chip in your shoulder, right? Part of it is you got enough shooters around Zach Cleveland. And part of it is the chemistry and the fact that these dudes do not care. You said it at the end of the broadcast. They don't care who scores. They don't care.
Yeah, they want to win.
So cool.
The only stat that they care about is whether or not their team has more points than the other. And there's a lot of teams that will say that, and it'll be lip service. Yes. But they legitimately do not. Like, Cade Matheny, outside of...
He could have had 30 tonight.
Outside of like a minute and 15-second stretch at the start of the second half, was basically invisible. Like, didn't really...
He didn't care. He was like a decoy.
Didn't really do anything.
I know.
And Brent Decker, like, that's the thing. So not only do they have those two dudes in the backcourt and Zach Cleveland kind of running everything around him, Brent Decker is going to be, like, he's a star. He's the kind of guy where you watch him right here and you say, a high major is going to pay him $2 million.
I know. I don't like saying that, but
I also don't think that that's necessarily something where it's impossible. It's impossible he comes back.
And Taylor Peter just went.
Well, it's not impossible he comes back. when you come to Liberty, and I've said this before on these broadcasts and when we're doing the games.
Yeah.
When you come to Liberty, you're making a decision that is different than what most college students want to do because of the campus that you're coming to.
Sure.
Right? There's a level of it is a very religious place that has a certain set of standards, not all that dissimilar from what people at BYU do, right? You come to Liberty because you're making a life choice about what you want your life to be. And people that make that choice are much more likely to
They're less
stay
motivated
here.
by money.
And they embrace the culture that they're in. And if you're that kind of person, then you probably aren't going to want to go to one of those places where it doesn't have the same kind of values. The culture that Richie has built and all of those facts, I don't even want to go down that lane talking about whether or not he'll leave, but there's a reason why Colin Porter stayed. There's a reason why Kate Matheny came back instead of going into the real estate business, and there's a reason why Zach Cleveland's still here.
You know what it is? I mean, again, forget about that because I don't even want to talk about it because they're going to get a full year out of Brett Decker, and he's different. He's different because you pair him with those two other guards and Zach Cleveland, and how much better does it make everybody? 6'3", he's athletic. He's not just one-dimensional. He's 13 from 20 from three in his first two games this season. I think he shot 44 from three last year. Is limited amount of time, but he's getting his opportunity now. And those guys realize that last year they got blasted in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. They need a dude like him that if they do make the tournament again, they can go in and they feel like, all right, you know what? We got a dude that can stand up to those guys, in terms of size, athleticism, skill.
I do think that they are going to be good enough to make it back to the NCAA tournament this year.
I'd be shocked if they don't.
On Charleston, real quick, they're obviously missing Mr. Dean. They're missing Colby Dugan. There's a chance that they could get back Connor Hickman, but I don't know if that's going to be something that will happen. If they get only Colby back and Mr. Dean back, Mr. Dean's out like another week, and Colby's probably out until the turn of the calendar. If those two guys come back, this is a team that can win the CAA. But they're kind of missing those like big wing spots. And we're starting a guy that 6'5".
He was going to play 10 minutes.
Yeah,
he was going to play 10 minutes. Now he's counted on to start and play 25 minutes. When Colby Dugan comes back,
trying to play the 4.
Right. Colby Dugan hopefully comes back January 1st, and then they've got a couple months to get ready for really the biggest thing, which is the CAA tournament.
They're not going to be competing for an at-large bid. So it's
no.
Win enough games so that you put yourself in a position to win the tournament and be a 13 seed when you get there instead of being a 15 or 16 seed. That's what the plan should be right now for Chris Mack. Let's kind of bounce around the country here because there were some, I don't want to say notable results, but there were notable happenings in the world of college basketball. I want to start with Purdue. So Purdue and Oakland were tied at halftime. Purdue ended up winning 88-77, but it wasn't the kind of performance that you maybe thought Purdue would have against a program like Oakland. Trey Kaufman-Wren did not play again. Oscar Clough had 14 tonight. Braden Smith with a casual 20 points, 9 assists, and 7 boards.
They scored it.
They did, but the worry that we've had about Purdue is on the defensive end of the floor and what happens when you deal with athleticism and what happens when you kind of ramp up who you're playing against. And they didn't exactly blow away in their first game. I can't remember who they were playing off the top of my head in the moment. And then against Oakland, obviously, it was a bit of a slump. We had to turn that game on in the second half just in case that they ended up losing.
It's like a three-point game. Three-point game. Braden Smith did his thing. The two guys that I think are not going to be what they are today, having Purdue, Daniel Jacobson is still working his way back. I mean, he's a kid who missed all of last season due to injury. And Omer Meyer, Israeli guard, who just hasn't figured it out yet. And as you said, Matt Painter told us it's going to take time for him. Braden Smith told us it's going to take some time. He's a kid that's used to playing on the ball. He's got to play off the ball now. He's adjusting defensively to what life is like in college basketball. Purdue will be fine, but fine isn't good enough for Purdue, right? Purdue, you called it national title or bust, and Matt Painter didn't disagree with you.
it is set up for them to be able to make the run. Like I don't know. I don't think that Payne is going to ever be at a point again where we're like, yeah, I don't know if this Purdue team's any good. They're going to be good for as long as he decides that he wants to put in the effort to be the coach at Purdue, right? That's just who they are. That's the culture they've built. He can identify talent, and he gets the kids that fit with what he wants to do. They're always going to be good. I don't know how many more times he's going to have the chance to be a top 2, 3, 4 team in America, right? That is not easy to do when there's 365 teams, especially when you have a year now where you have the best point guard in America. We know how important point guard play is in college basketball. You have veterans, you have 2 returning All-Americans, 3 returning All-League guys, and a group of seniors that know how to play together. This is the year. This is the best chance. Let me put it like this. This is the best chance that they're ever going to have to be able to win it, and I think that it probably won't be all that close for the rest of his tenure there. They'll still be able to win it. They're still going to have good teams. They're still going to be title contenders. They're going to win Big Ten championships. I'm not saying they can't do that. This is the best chance he's ever going to have to win it.
I think the worst thing to happen to Purdue was Rami Hubble picking them to win it all. I think that might have been the jinx here in what happened tonight. I think they read the Hummel press clippings, and
Hummel,
they're good.
Hummel's picked them to win every year for the last 7 years.
Every year.
Just a homer.
I know. Again, they're going to be very good. It's Oakland. It's the second game of the year. They didn't have their All-American, one of second best player.
To be clear, no part of me is worried about it right now. There's some things that they clearly
you're worried about the end game. That's what you're worried about with Purdue. When you look at their team together, you're worried about if they go against the wrong team.
I'm not even worried about that because there's nothing that I just said there that wasn't something that was a concern for the last 2 or 3 years with this program and with this team. I think they know how to beat it.
If you were Painter, okay, so he goes to the portal, and this is a legitimate question. He goes to the portal, and he gets a big guy, and he gets big, strong Oscar Clough, who's what, 6'9", 6'10", 250, 260.
I think he made the right choice. What they struggled with last year was rebounding the ball, ending possessions, and defending the rim and defending the paint. And they added a guy that could pair with Daniel Jacobson to do that very, very well. They, in the Sweet 16, were tied with Houston with 2 seconds left when Houston had that weird out-of-bounds play where they got a layup out of it. If that doesn't happen, they were significantly better than Houston in the second half, and they would have gone into overtime playing better than Houston. That was the team that should have won the national title. If you remember, they were up by, what, was it 8? They were up late in the second half against Florida. I think they were up 8 in the second half against Florida in the national title game.
So Clough can rebound. Clough can rebound, but the only thing I'm saying is, would you have gone after a different type of big? A rebounding big that maybe was more athletic?
No, that's what you wanted.
What about Omar Meyer? Would you have gone after somebody that is a little more athletic, or somebody that Braden Smith has needed help on the ball? He's needed somebody to take some pressure off him.
Okay, they have C.J. Cox and Jakari Harris. They're very clearly betting on those guys taking the next step. I think Omar Meyer was the guy that they brought in not for this year, but to have ready to go next season when Braden Smith is gone and when he will probably be terrific. I don't think Purdue did anything wrong in the portal. I think they built the best team in America. I don't think they're playing like the best team in America right now, but there's not a single part of me that is going to get off the idea that Purdue is the best team in the
second best player
and can win the national championship. And they're like, right now, the hard thing for them, and I remember we had conversations like this about Florida after they won the national title the first year, where they lost a couple games early in the season, because it is hard when your focus is on winning a national championship, and when you've been in the national title game and you played in those moments and you're upperclassmen. It is human nature to go into a game against an Oakland team where you're favored by 35 points or whatever it was, and go play like that is a game where you need to be like, you have to play your best. It's hard to get up for those games when you've been playing in the biggest games. And
I don't buy that. I just got a wake up call in the preseason. I don't buy that at all.
All I'm saying is that there is not a single part of me that is worried about Purdue at all. I'm still all in.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm still all in. And I will say they could lose their next game, and they could lose 2 games after that. And
You're still not going to be worried.
I'm pot committed at this point. I'm on the bandwagon, baby. I'm a boiler up. All right, let's a couple more things that we wanted to get to here. Notable results. Not really a result, but a notable happening.
Yep.
Down in Lubbock, Texas Tech got JT Toppin back, and the game is not quite over yet. But JT Toppin has 29 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block. I think that he is a good addition back into this this lineup.
You think so?
He's a pretty good player. Christian Anderson, 18.7 assists. I will be curious to see what Texas Tech does once they start playing some real competition. But again, this is a team that I fully believe can win a national title.
Can I give you a big happening tonight?
Tuesday the 11th, they play at Illinois. That's going to be a big night.
It's going to be a good one.
Texas Tech at Illinois, the same night that Kentucky plays Louisville. Sign me up.
Okay.
Lock me in.
Can I give you a significant happening tonight?
No.
Why not?
You're not allowed to.
I don't understand.
The next big significant happening that happened tonight in college basketball was A.J. Storr had 19 points.
He's still my big significant happening.
As Ole Miss beat Louisiana Monroe by 19 points.
He's reading my rundown.
He put together the rundown, so I know exactly where we're going to go.
He's stealing my happening.
Go ahead. Make your point.
Well, you stole my happening. No, but I mean, A.J. Storr coming back, he obviously had a very disappointing season last year in Lawrence. Chris Beard is trying to get him back, and he felt pretty confident he could. And, you know, I think that is significant for Chris Beard. Because he's got a talented freshman, international player. And now if you can get A.J. Storr back, you know, with James Scott and some of the other guys he's got. We got another score that's interesting, by the way. Update you. NC State up 8 over UAB at home. At halftime. That's a pretty interesting game. We also have Jalen Lowe came back.
That was the thing that I was going to get to. Jalen Lowe is back for Kentucky. His health and
the point guard health in Lexington. I feel like it's whoever's in Lexington with the ball in their hands, something happens to.
If you are a point guard, just don't go to Kentucky, because all that's going to happen is you're going to have a bad shoulder and you're never going to be healthy.
We're going to get a call from Mark Pope later.
No, Mark Pope will be like, "You're right."
He's going to call you later. Like, don't say that.
It just
DePaul won, by the way.
If they had any luck, it's bad luck there, and I really want him to stay healthy throughout the season, because I think Jalen Lowe,
so does Mark Pope,
is the piece that they need, and please just get that shoulder right, man. Shoulders are a pain in the ass. RC always talks about this. I don't know if it's what Jalen Lowe has specifically, but it's sometimes.
You know who's in a little tight one right now, by the way? Missouri over SEMO. They're only up 5.
Can we please finish the conversation about Kentucky?
Sure.
You need to stay focused.
I'm not. I'm not doing well.
To stay focused. Go eat your chicken and rice over there.
I am.
No, the biggest thing is just him staying healthy. Kentucky won 107 to 59 against Valpo. It actually looks pretty good. Listen, that was a big happening for Kentucky, and Jalen Lowe's back. All right, let's get to toast of the night here. Go grab your mic before you start. I guess I'm going to go first. My toast of the night, Caleb Wilson. There's no other option for who the toast of the night is than Caleb Wilson. 24 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals. It doesn't get better than that as a freshman coming in. He made a statement. He made a statement to you specifically, and he is very much now in that conversation for the best freshman of the country. And if you're the best freshman in the country in that conversation, you're also in the conversation for the best player in the country. And he made a statement, man. It was a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, I would toast to Caleb, but you took that toast, so I got to go with somebody else. I'll go to Ed Cooley. How can you not? I mean, again, year 3, needs some momentum. Got a good win against Maryland on the road. Not that far away, but on the road. And I think this is one that ultimately could be one of those games, right? When the committee's looking in March, they could look at this one and say it's a difference maker in terms of being on the wrong side of the bubble and the right side of the bubble. Yeah, and let's just also give a toast tonight to Liberty, to Lynchburg, to the fantastic, what was the name of the steakhouse we went to last night?
The Wheeler and something or other. It was in the Virginia. It was one of the I eat a lot of steak. I'm a big steak guy. I pride myself in the steaks that I can make at home, and that was one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life.
It's called William and Henry.
William
and Henry was,
and I'm not saying that lightly. It was one of the best steaks that I've ever had.
And then we went to a good lunch spot today. What was that?
County Smoke. Shout out to Colin Porter, who's his NIL deal. Behind the scenes, we were talking to him before the game started, and we were like, Colin, just you look like a lunch guy. Give us a lunch spot. He goes, County Smoke. It's an NIL deal right there. They're one of my guys. And I was like, we're in. Done. Let's go. Fantastic brisket. Yeah. Pulled pork was above average. Really the brisket was fantastic. But I'm going to tell you this right now. That mac and cheese.
Yeah. Big time.
Life-changing. Goodman went with the mustard slaw instead of mac and cheese.
That was awesome.
Questionable decision-making there on Jeff's part. Appreciate you guys being here for the Field of 68 After Dark. Tomorrow, 6 p.m., Charleston and FAU are playing right here in Lynchburg. 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Field of 68 After Dark right here. We're talking about Alabama St. John's.
Big game.
We're talking about Oklahoma Gonzaga. We're talking about everything Arkansas, Michigan State, everything that happens in the world of college basketball right here. Field of 68 After Dark.